And we're here. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
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 Welcome to Women in Drag. I'm currently being green screened back into the San Francisco Bay, so that's good, going great, really well. So I just wanted to give you all something interesting to look at compared to just a green screen background. So let's talk. Let's talk about who we are. I'm in for prayers. I'm a drag queen on this platform. I am known for my cursed and chaotic content. My pronouns are she/her. Annie.
Hi, my name is Annie Crevice. I'm a transgender drag queen from Melbourne, Australia. And I stream a variety of games and yeah.
Creme.
Hi, my name is Kren Patel. I'm a drag queen in LA, and I do a bunch of stuff, mostly makeup.
Jupiter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jupiter Velvet. I am a transgender Latina Miami drag entertainer, and I stream many a games and party. So let's do this. Hi.
Luke.
Hi, my name is Luca B, and I'm looking at all y'all. No, um, my pronouns in drag are he, they. My pronouns out of drag are she, hers. And I'm a variety streamer here on Twitch.
Her.
Hi, I am Hermaphrodita once again from Colombia, Latina, Afro Latina queen here. I'm also a streamer on Twitch. And yeah, you can find me anytime, just her_Hermaphrodita.
Perfect. Yes, that's who we have for this panel. Sorry, I'm a little nervous because I was like trying to get everything ready, so I'm still warming up. So this panel is going to be talking about the beauty and the ugly about being women in drag on this panel. So let's start with some good stuff. What got us started into drag? One of the things that got me started into drag was honestly, I don't really know. I loved the idea of crazy makeup and costumes and kind of like being something and different than what I felt. And I always loved like wigs and stuff, but I didn't want to just like wear a wig to just wear a wig. I wanted to have like the makeup. I wanted to look pretty much unrecognizable for just my normal self, and I wanted to have a character. And I didn't start doing drag until about 5 years ago when I had worked at worked at a hickory farm where I'd worked with a bunch of drag queens, and they were like, "You should start drag," and I was like, "I can't do drag. I'm a woman," and they're like, "Bitch, please get in here." And so yeah, that's how I started drag. And I'm not really sure where that, it was just like a calling of mine. I was like, this is what I want to do. I hadn't seen anybody do drag beforehand or a female doing drag, and I hadn't even seen trans women doing it. I just saw cisgendered men doing drag. And I wasn't really like watching RuPaul, so I didn't really have any like idea of really what drag was. Annie, what got you inspired into drag?
I've always been a performer. My other job is as a spoken word artist and producer in Melbourne. So I've always been like really into performing and dressing up and that kind of stuff. But I had the chance to get into drag like through one of my friend's box parties. He's in the chat at the moment. He got into drag for his box party, and I was like, I'm gonna do it too. Like that sounds a lot of fun. And then I was like, what at the time? I'm like, why? I would have just said it was for a bit of fun, but like, um, the real reason it turns out was like it unlocked a whole bunch of gender shit at the same time. So um, that's what got me into continuing to do drag, because once I started to see myself as like more feminine and how I could present more feminine, then I was like, oh holy shit, I want to keep doing this, because like the illusion aspect, or the transformation aspect for me was like really exciting. So I was just like, how can I like continue to change my appearance to like look more and more feminine? So yeah, that's like what got me into it, and what I guess got me to keep doing it.
I love that you said it unlocks a hole because you're Annie Crevice.
Mm-hmm. Unlocks a crevice, yeah.
Unlocked your crevice, and
Mm-hmm.
now you're not just unlocking crevice, you're Annie Crevice.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Widening my
love that.
crevice.
Krem, let's hear your story about inspiration and drag. I know you've kind of talked a little bit about this before, but we have a lot more time to get into it versus the last panel we had with you.
Yeah. I've been doing drag for 7 years, over 7 years now. And what got me into it initially was the fact that drag gives you complete, total creative control over what you're doing. I was doing, I went to kind of got like the equivalent of what a master's degree is in theater, and I had my bachelor's in film screenwriting and production. And it was just really frustrating because I had like a lot to express and a lot that I wanted to say, but so many of those art forms like filmmaking and theater, that kind of stuff, is so much about what everybody else agrees to, and like what the director thinks, what the other actors think, what like the writer says, what the producer wants, what like whoever's funding the film wants. So all of those things were so restrictive and just like not fulfilling at all. And it's kind of like when I started like finding out more about drag, I was like, this actually gives you full creative control. And not only that, but it allowed me to kind of play around with an idea of femininity that I hadn't probably since I was a child, like a baby, because it allows you to kind of play with those ideas about women that society deem like stupid or useless, like beauty and like things like that. It's like you have to be beautiful, but you can't be too beautiful. You can't be obsessed with beauty because then you're stupid, like that kind of thing. Where it's like I spend so much of my time in middle school and like high school, like dialing back how I guess flamboyant I was, or like how extremely feminine and like very girly I was, to something that would be like an acceptable version of that, where people wouldn't point out that it's too much or, you know, make judgments about me and my character, which, you know, as a woman in society, period, they're gonna do no matter what. So
Yeah.
but it allowed me to play around with like ideas like that and femininity, and just gave me complete creative control. So it felt like it was a calling.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, like, we as women in society are taught that, like, if you like makeup, that you're stupid. If you're obsessed with it, you're dumb. You don't know anything. It's like that stereotype that if you're beautiful, you don't have anything. And obviously you're beautiful, talented, and smart, but you also went to school to have all those things. So that like you like, I don't know how to like not to put that I'm trying to like word it where it's like not that stereotype, but you're like, you had to do all these things to like not show who you are and express that femininity, or like that was something I've experienced too, is like you couldn't do this or that because it's not you, or it's too much. And it's like, why as women we can't express that when we're also taught that we're supposed to be beautiful, we're supposed to care about our looks, we're supposed to shave, we're supposed to have our hair a certain way. Like femininity is very much like put into this box of what it is or isn't, and if you don't fit in that, then you're not seen as a woman. But if you do it too much, then you're also like not respected. You know, even if you do have that, you're also not respected as a woman as well. So thank you for sharing that. Jupiter, let's talk about that for you.
Yeah, so came into drag like 5 years ago almost now, and I created Jupiter Velvet as like a character for me to live out this like feminine like teenage adolescence I wasn't allowed to, like emulating very like Lizzie McGuire vibes, very like Y2K. That's like what I really always resonated with as a kid. But growing up like Caribbean and South American, I really wasn't allowed to dabble in feminine things. I was really badly reprimanded and stuff for it. So definitely Jupiter for me, doing makeup, doing drag. Like I was always kind of doing makeup in secret, and through drag I was able to like realize, oh, I don't want to take Jupiter off anymore. Like I want to be this person. Like I want to be this woman. And there is a big difference from like Jupiter and Genevieve the person. But definitely I wouldn't be Genevieve if I didn't have Jupiter. So I owe everything to Jupiter Velvet myself. I don't know. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good that you were able to like it's interesting how like drag or that persona can really like bring out our like true form and who we really are. So that's really awesome, and thank you for sharing that. Luke, what has been your story? Tell us all about it.
Yeah. I've always been a very loud kid, and a theater gay. So as a result, I got put in a lot of male roles as a kid. And I was like, honestly, as a kid, I kind of loved it 'cause I was like, oh, the guys always have the best parts. Like they get the coolest lines and like, oh, blah, blah. And I was like, this is cool. Um, I mean, I don't think that way all the time now. There's wonderful roles of any gender. But I feel like I always joke that like people put me in drag before I even started doing drag. Um, but as I got older, I was really interested in face painting and makeup art, and like special effects makeup and really creative makeup. So especially in the high school and college, I started dabbling in that, and then honestly drag, especially like coming out of college, I went to the theater conservatory for directing, and it kind of killed the love of theater for me a little bit, being in a conservatory for 4 years critiquing your artwork heavily. And so drag was kind of a great way for me to get back to my love of theatrics and makeup, and being able to have that same thing like Krem said, like that creative control is really exciting, and to be able to play with theatrics and play with gender, and um, was always something that was really exciting for me. So that's sort of how it kind of came to be, is a lot of still theater gay at heart, but finding a way to make theater work for me, and tell the stories that I want to tell and express the things I want to express. Uh, was what really drew me to drag, in particular as an art form.
I love that. It's the burnout with like the theater and doing that is like a real thing, especially with drag
Mm.
as well, because I find myself to have the burnout with drag, and like being able to like um I think having a reminder, especially being like I can do whatever I want. Like that, I feel like
Yeah.
drag, we're so used to seeing how it's supposed to be, or even just makeup in general, like this is how it's supposed to be, or this is how it's normally been seen. And it's like we're here to break that and to have different, like the creativity control. So I'm really glad that you're here and you found drag with that, and you know we love having you. So Hermaphrodita, let's hear from you, my love.
Well, what I started doing drag, not drag, like the first thing that I started doing was like I always wanted to kind of imitate the characters that I loved the most from any TV show that I could have watched. But there was always like that thing that like cosplay, but people will always be like, okay, but when you do cosplay, you kind of have to look at the character and stuff like that. And it was always like a limit for me when people would make comments like, yeah, but you don't look like this one because you're for this or that. I was just like, well, but I want to create my style. Like I want to be able to do him from the Powerpuff Girls, but I want to like do it my style. Then I want to do it like more flamboyant and stuff. So it was a little bit of a mix between like cosplay and then me, the cat. Sorry, I got distracted with the cat tail.
I'm
Um,
trying not to acknowledge her. I'm sorry.
so yeah, for me it was a little bit like the cosplay, and then I was just like, I want to do my own thing. I want to do like cosplay thing, but with my own ideas and try my own makeup. And here's the result.
That's great that you were able to find that and being like, I'm gonna do this. And did I ever see your that cosplay? I feel like that sounded familiar, but
I
I don't know if I saw it.
I think I have pictures on my Instagram probably, like when I
I
started and all that.
need to go see them.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't mind my cat. She really just wanted to be a part of this panel. She's definitely been a big part of my drag journey as she gets her claws and feet into my palettes. And I'm probably currently wearing her cat hair in my eyelashes because I can't seem to get away from that. So yeah, let's get into the next question. So this is getting into like our discovery of our drag name. When I started drag, I was really wanting to like have a queen look and had like a doll look. So like my original thing had like queen and doll, and I don't actually use my drag name on Twitch, but that one was like my original drag name, or no, my second drag name was Dolly Destructo, and that's because I was working and we were messing with the, like the dollies that you move stuff with. And it was like, oh, watch out for the Destructo dolly. And I was like, wait a second, that is a great drag name. And I am known for my hot mess creativity. And whenever I perform on stage, has always been like either disgusting, like literal mess everywhere. Ma'am, can you come over here? like distracting me. I can't focus. There's a window with birds. Go look at it. But I was always like known for that, so I really wanted to like have that destruction role. But I've always been like really into like dolls being in my name, or like kind of having a look of a doll, even though I don't really play with that too much in like a sense that I feel like is really resonating with that. So, but I just use In for Prayers on Twitch because it's kind of more of like a joke that I'm in for the prayers, or like, you know, if you have your thoughts and prayers, I'll come. So I just kind of go with that as like my new name on here. So yeah, Annie, let's hear about your discovery of your drag name.
So my drag name was given to me by a friend like years before I actually started doing drag. We were at some like queer party. It was like a gay rights fundraiser thing in Melbourne. And my partner had like put some like Black Swan type like makeup on over my eyes or whatever, and I was really into it. And Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz came on the TV, not on the TV, on the over the speakers or whatever, and I was dancing around to it like drunk or whatever, and my one of my friends was like, you should call yourself Annie Crevice if you ever do drag. I was like, okay. So I kind of held on to that, and so when I started doing drag, like that was the name I used. And I'm really attracted to it because I love puns and I love daggy jokes. That's kind of one of my favorite things, and I'm also like a little bit lewd, a little bit crude, so like I've used it, like the character and the pun in the name I've kind of used a lot to evolve my drag personality or whatever. And the like unexpected thing that came out of my drag name, I guess, was that when I came out as trans, eventually I got so used to people calling me Annie that I changed my name like legally to Annie in January, so I'm like officially legally Annie like everywhere. Like my driver's license says Annie. I kept my last name or whatever. My middle name is actually Bree, so Annie Bree is also a pun because I can't help myself. And yeah. So yeah, I really love the name Annie now, so I'm like super used to it. And everyone loves to ask, Annie, are you okay?
Annie, are you okay?
Kinda.
Oh my
I'm definitely at fault for doing that, especially when we're playing Dead by Daylight and you're being tunneled by the killer. I'm like, Annie, are you okay? And you're like dead on a hook.
Yeah. Relatable.
Yeah, totally relatable, especially for us drag artists on
I have a
Twitch that play.
question.
Yes.
For Annie, when you were first given the name, like spur of the moment, was the pun the intention from the get-go, or just because it sounds like Lenny Kravitz? Like,
It was a little bit like it sounded like Lenny Kravitz and a little bit like the pun at the same time.
okay, wait.
So it's like a
That's
mix
cute.
of both. And some people get the pun, and then some people just get that it's a play on Lenny Kravitz, and like, yeah. But my favorite thing ever is like when people just hear the name, and then like a little while later, it drops for them, and they're like, oh, I get it now. It's like endlessly entertaining.
Krem, let's hear from you about your drag name.
So Creme Fatale is actually the first name that I thought of. I was like nameless for a few months and like going out and stuff. And when people were asking me my name and I was like replying with my real name, it was like gross feeling. I didn't like it. The whole point of like being in drag and like having a character and looking so like different was to not be myself. So I kind of put pressure on myself to like come up with a name. And I was like, well, I want something that's like kind of cute, but like sort of like a pun. And then for some reason, creme fatale was like the first thing that I thought of. And I was like, no, that's stupid. And I sat on it for a few more months. And then finally, like somebody asked me my name in a club. It was like, and I was so over it, like answering with my real name that I was like, it's creme fatale. I just went with it. And eventually it ended up fitting my character a lot more than it initially did, which was unintentional. So I really like it now, but it's just a stupid play on femme fatale, but like creamy.
Creamy.
Lactose intolerance, but I'm not lactose intolerant. So it was just like literally the first thing that popped into my head, which might have been like divine intervention, but
Well,
I
you
have
do
no
like
for it.
You do baking and like that kind of stuff, so you could really just be like, well, it's kind of like that. You can like tie your baking into it or something. I don't know. That's probably really dumb.
I
But
didn't start baking until like a few years ago, so it wouldn't have made sense then.
oh
It's
darn, your
I
bread
knew.
always looks good.
Thank you. I made baguettes earlier. They're like on the stove, ready to eat it.
It's
But
dangerous.
yeah, it's like a process of just like frustration and saying the first thing that came to my mind because everything else just sounded dumb. And eventually I was like, this actually fits very well. I like it now.
Yeah. Well, that's really good that you could find that. And it's funny that it's always like the first one where you're like, oh, this, and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about it. And then it's like, it wasn't being the first one. Like, I feel like that's how it ends up sometimes with just things in life. Jupiter, let's hear how you got your drag name.
Yeah, so my original drag name was gonna be Kitty Casanova, and I just switched. I was like back on Tumblr like way back when, and I was just on Tumblr and I was mutuals with somebody whose name was just Jupiter Velvet, and I really liked that name. They were not a drag artist; they were just like this just blog, and I just DM'd them and I said, I want to make this my drag name. Like, is that cool with you? Like, and then they were like, yeah, and they were like, here, have the URL. So then I had the URL and then I put it on my Instagram and everything. Really friends online and stuff. And then I found out that there's a band called Jupiter in Velvet.
Mm.
But when you look up Jupiter Velvet, I now surpass the show.
Oop. We'd
Mm.
Not
love to
doing
see
very
it.
well. It's like an old, like, I don't know, they're an old band.
Mm.
But I got really scared because I was like, am I gonna, I don't know if that's a DMCA strike or something. Let's like not do that. And yeah, and kind of like with what Annie said, my like legal name, I had it legally changed also. It was in December, right, babe? I think my name, yeah, I finalized my name change in December.
Yay.
And so I'm Genevieve Jupiter, last name.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it has like the nicest ring, but I didn't want to lose Jupiter. And everybody was calling me Jupiter like all the time. And I really liked it, but it got to a point where I just got really like, I really wanted to like personally have a separation between the two, just because it was, I don't know, it made me personally just feel, because I never intended for this to be my name. I intended for it to be like this character. So yeah.
I love that person gave you that name. That's always really cool when people are like really chill with stuff like that, or is like, oh yeah, you can totally take this. And so that's really cool. And it's funny about the band. And congrats about the name change. That's really great.
Thanks.
Luke, let's hear about your
Yeah.
journey.
Oh, it's been quite a journey. Okay, so I used to have a drag queen and a drag king persona. Used to be Justin Wright. And I know, yes, everyone can gag now. And Ibiza Tiza was my drag queen name. And I used to like literally compete in like college drag shows and like run back and forth backstage and like switch between the two and like not really doing any makeup, just literally running between the two. And I was like, I hate that I'm having to like pick a gender almost with my drag. And I think when I first started drag, I originally thought, I was like, the only kings I've seen were very like like male impersonation, and I was like, oh, okay, so I guess that's what I had to do. And then I was like, why am I denying the things I want to do? So then I was like, okay, well maybe Luke just doesn't work because like he's American, so maybe the main character doesn't work because they're American. So I was like, maybe they're international like guys. Maybe the name is Luke Ami. And so I kind of dropped the international like French guy vibe, but it still works in terms of the pun of like, look at me. So I was like, okay, like I'm always doing something very colorful.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It took me a long time, but I have it now.
When I tell you that literally there's someone who's known me for like 3 years who just forgot my name during quarantine, and she was like, ow, and I was like, bitch, I know you since I started drag. Like, ma'am.
That's how it
I
was with me
like,
and Annie though. It took
oh
me
my
like
god
6 months. We would play all the time, like on a weekly thing,
Yeah.
and I didn't get
Puns-
Annie Crevice.
puns are so hard. Like, and I will say I'm also bad about getting at people's puns. Like, there's a lot of puns that I fully will take months to get.
Right over. Yep.
Yeah, so like I totally get it. And But yeah, but I also intentionally wanted my drag name to be something that could also pass as an actual name as well. So it's like I wanted to be a thing that like just because I heard that a lot of people were having trouble on Facebook at the time, like getting their drag names to like pop up if it was like Sparkle 5000. It's like, Facebook would be like, that's not a name. So I was like, oh, if I do Look at Me, they'll also work because then Facebook won't, which is ironic because I don't even use Facebook really for drag anymore anyway. But at the time, I was also like, I want to make sure it's something that works as a pun and as an actual name. So yeah, so kind of same thing with Creme Fatale, where it's like it wasn't intentionally for this character, but it still works, and I actually kind of love it more um now that I have a more colorful persona to go with it. Of like, it feels more, it kind of fits the flashy part of it. So yeah, so RIP Justin Wright and Ibiza Tiza.
Oh,
If anyone wants those names, you're more than welcome to have them.
they're available. But be sure
Yes.
to give credit and also cough up some money if you're able to, if you make money off
Yes.
that. So
Yes, rent is due. No.
rent is due in a couple days. So y'all, if you're gonna get it, come get it
Right.
now.
Yes. But
Cash
no,
App Luke.
yeah.
Who's got Luke's Cash App? Do we still
Oh
have
my
the link from last
God.
night's show?
Lol, stop this. But yeah, but yeah, I kind of like that now my drag is also a little more androgynous. I kind of see Luke as like a alien that crashed onto Earth, and someone said, "You're a guy because your facial hair," and he was like, "I guess," So like, I like that I get to play more of the, like, I can be more masc, I can be more femme, and I have that space of play that I don't feel as constricted with
Yeah,
my other drag personas. So yeah.
because that's what drag should be. All be. Ugh. Sorry, I have probably cat hair in my mouth. Who knows anymore? Could be eyelash. I
Yeah.
don't know. My own wig hair. That's a real thing.
Same,
You're not a
yeah.
real drag artist unless you have wig hair in your mouth or in your eyes or glued to your eyelashes if you are wearing eyelashes. So, but it's
Yeah.
you
Hair
were
everywhere.
like, yeah, I feel that. But yeah,
Yeah.
you should not be constricted in what, society thinks drag should be or whatever, people are perceiving. It's all about self-expression, what you want to experience. And what you want to bring to the table. And RIP Justin, right? And Hermaphrodita, let's hear your story.
Okay, so my name actually started like people will call me in Spanish, hermafrodita. It means like hermaphrodite, or it's like, but people would say like, excuse me, if I was hermaphrodite, so like intention to insult me because I was always in the queer community. I always been in the queer community here in my city, and people, instead of asking me like, "Oh, are you trans?" or something, they will make jokes about me. She's a hermaphrodite. And then when I started doing drag and stuff, people like would ask me what my name was, and I was like, I don't know, because the word in Spanish is hermafrodita, and I was just like, actually don't know. But then I wanted to change it and be like, okay, I'm gonna be her. Like her is my name, and Mafrodita is my last name. And then people were like, some people get the joke. It was just like embracing the jokes that some transphobic people would do, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. Like my trademark is now gonna be like jokes on you because now it works. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, that was something that you've experienced, and that's also why we're having this panel to talk about, our experiences, the good and the ugly. But it's good that you could take something negative and try to turn it into something positive, and I think also bring awareness to that. And I think that's probably a good segue into talking about some of our negative experiences, and then after that we'll get into like what we enjoy about drag. But maybe let's talk about the experiences that we've had in drag. Whether it's negative online personnel at the bar, just whatever comes to your mind about that. I definitely know for me, especially doing a lot of drag online, I've gotten the like, you can't do drag, or like, you don't get seen as much. When I have done performing like on stage, I wouldn't get booked as much, or I wouldn't get a scene, or I would like be working just as hard as the other drag artists, and they like, I wouldn't get seen. And I know that like I had ended up winning a competition, and the next year there was somebody that was like, they were AFAB, and they were doing drag king and drag queen looks, and I thought they were like perfect to win, but there was someone else that was really good too, so I kind of could see like but I remember like praising them for like what they were doing, and people were like, no, I don't like what they're doing. And it's like, it could be just maybe that I was biased about that, or like felt like that connection. But I've definitely seen it like online of not being represented or seen or having anything like that. um, so yeah, that's been a little bit of my experience. Annie, what has been your experience, especially being a trans woman, and doing drag as well? You're gonna have a different experience than some of us.
Um, in like most of my like negative experiences are probably like to do with online and just like generic kind of transphobic trolls and stuff that you get in your streams and stuff like that. There's been a few people who are like really uneducated people who aren't like who don't know anything about drag, let's be honest, just come into your stream and go, well, if you identify as a woman now, that doesn't that mean you need to do drag king? Like they're just like this idea of like drag is an opposite gender, and I've had like dumb comments like that, like mixing up, I guess, confusing like being trans and being a drag queen as well, which are like very separate things, even though like part of my persona, like they're very much interlocked in a way, but like they are like specific different things or whatever. um but like I wanted to talk a bit more about like my in-person experiences, because like whilst there's no one in the drag scene who's like telling me I can't do drag or whatever, um it's more the general vibe like in live clubs and stuff, and the way I've experienced being treated as a trans woman and in drag. Like for me it's like markedly different to when I was presenting as a man, like out in the world. Like it's almost night and day, like how differently people treat you when you present femme out in the world. um like immediately I felt like I was much more like interrupted in conversations or talked over in conversations, that people kind of could disregard me, or like I felt like in some spaces, like especially around more like cis men, like cis gay men, like um just because you're gay doesn't mean you don't have like male privilege or whatever. Those people like can really make you feel invisible in a space. And the only time you don't feel invisible is when they feel like they've got license to touch you. And so in drag, like at clubs and stuff, gay men, like they don't ask for consent or whatever. Suddenly they feel like they can just grab you. Like I've been like had arms put over me like at bars and stuff, so I can't like leave the bar. I've had like just like random people groping me and shit like that. Like in those spaces, and I'm like, suddenly you feel like you have permission to do that. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's like,
What gave you the right to do that?
yeah, I feel like cis gay men like really need to interrogate their own privilege, like in queer spaces a lot of the time. And the way they treat femme presenting people, like drag queens, trans people, like all of that, like women in general in those spaces. Because like, yeah, it can make it really uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah, 100%. And it's so tough that like, cuz even when I haven't done drag, I've seen like when I've gone into queer spaces, that as a woman I've been looked at like I should be watching out. Like I went into like a club, and they were like, "Oh, there's these girls here. They're going to be super loud and obnoxious. They're going to like come in and like do these things when I'm just here to enjoy like a safe space for me, like being in that community." And like even when I was in drag, like was looked at like weird. And the thing is like with that, trans women created drag. Like LGBT have rights because of trans women. So why is it cisgendered men gatekeeping that? And yeah, kind of like what you said with your experience of that. And I'm really sorry. That's like a really awful experience to have, especially in a place that you think you're going to be safe in that, and having understanding about that. Thank you for sharing. Krem, what has been your experience over the years?
My experience has been really great. I started doing drag in San Francisco, your backdrop.
That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, women have been doing drag in San Francisco for a very long time, pretty much since its beginning. And even going on to the scene when I did, there was women that had already been in the scene for like 20 years. doing drag and just, you know, having the same opportunities and stuff as any of the cis male queens. So my in-person experience was really, really awesome. And I couldn't be more grateful for the fact that I like started doing drag in such a weird place that like already adopted these values like a really long time ago. For me, like a lot of the discrimination didn't really start until, you know, online stuff like was going on. And for a very long time, again, it was like very much like, you can't do drag. This is the guidelines. You should be a drag king because women are already women. So why would you need to be a drag queen? It doesn't make sense. And, you know, just going through all of that and like a lot of things have come from that, including like, where's a transformation sis and like all this stuff that just became part of like my brand. Because I already had that confidence in that, you know, that yeah, pretty much that confidence in what I was doing because I had already been doing it in person and I had already had a career and had already like been in shows and been booked and, you know, not had experiences where I was like treated like I wasn't a drag queen. Because San Francisco already, you know, had experiences in that, and everybody that was doing those parties grew up with women and everyone doing drag. So in San Francisco, it's more like, you know, as long as you're entertaining and you like doing it, like anybody can do it. But then dealing with like the online stuff was like different. But I already had that confidence from doing drag for so long. And it's funny that now I've made like videos that have been like, oh, when women, you know, when they say women can't do drag and like blah, 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 blah. And now a lot of what I'm getting is nobody said women can't do drag. Nobody like you're just this up. And I'm like, you go to these profiles and they're like 15 and I'm like, I've done drag for more than half your life. Like like, and I'm like, it's wonderful. Like I'm happy that you've never heard that, but this is something that continues and has been like a thing for a very long time.
This is the experience.
Yeah, it's really difficult to kind of navigate those sorts of things. And then there's like you know, that kind of like there's like a resurgence of like puritanical culture, like super, I don't want to say like PC culture because, you know, to a certain level, like we all like have to be, but there comes a thing where it's like they really start looking at like they hear one person say one thing like drag is only for like gay men, and then suddenly everybody else that is doing drag, including like trans women, you're interrupting their space. That's their thing. Let them have their thing. Like you're a horrible person. You shouldn't be allowed in these clubs. You shouldn't be allowed to do this because this is for gay men only. Don't you know about like safe spaces and like having this thing? And it's like, yeah, because drag is supposed to be a safe space for people to experiment with their gender. It's not just cis men becoming women. And like it's like this almost like weird like cycle that's like happening where it's like you're getting harassed for the opposite thing than you were before because of the way that people's thoughts are changing. So a lot of like what I've experienced lately has been nobody said that. You never experienced that. No, people can always do drag. Like this has been happening for a while. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've done drag for 7 years. Like you just found out about it 2 years ago.
Yeah, you like are just getting on the wagon, you know.
Yeah, you're getting on the bandwagon. This is a conversation we're having over here. But like, it's just so wild to me that that's like the thing now. And again, I try to like answer as like politely as possible when I can. And be like, yeah, I'm so happy that you never heard that. Unfortunately, this is a reality that women and, you know, trans women obviously have had to deal with in drag for a very long time because of closed-minded people's views, blah, blah, blah. But then I do get a lot of people like arguing back at me that like what I'm saying is like fake. So it's like, at this point, I just kind of like block things off because I really don't have time or the interest in arguing.
It's exhausting too, to have to constantly battle.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not at a lack for like, somebody to follow me on Instagram. I don't need you. Like, go away. Like,
yeah. You're like, I don't.
You're not gonna. Yeah, you're clearly not paying my bills, so I'm not really.
Yeah, don't need to worry.
Or you're, you know, at this point, I really need to start charging people like on Venmo for like my educational like
$5, please.
Yeah. Like here, charging
Do
me
it.
like annoying me, but Yeah, that's just like the experience that I've had. So mostly everything has been online, but like Annie brought up earlier, there have been like experiences with people who think that they are supportive and do things like grab you in ways that are inappropriate. I've had like definitely like a lot of my share of like cis male drag queens earlier in my career being like, "Women, oh my God, are those boobs real?" And like before finishing that sentence, going out and like
Wow.
squeezing my like real breasts like in drag, and it being like, "Oh, it's okay, girl, I'm a drag queen." It's like, no, you're not a drag queen, you're a stranger to me, I don't know you,
Mm-hmm.
I just met you and you're a
Yeah.
man, don't touch me. And it just becomes like a thing where it's like, I tried so hard to be like nice about it earlier because I didn't want to like, you know, be like a buzzkill or like, you know, that kind of thing, that kind of like women just get painted as like a monster for asking for basic human decency. But eventually it came to a point where I was just like, no, I don't know you. I don't know you. We just
Yeah.
met. You're fun. You're nice. Good performance, whatever.
Don't
You're a
touch me.
drag queen. You're as a woman, but you're not my friend. You're not my partner. You're not somebody that I gave permission to touch me inappropriately. And that, I feel like that's something that has gone away a lot recently, which has been a good thing. But there are like, small things like putting, their arm around you or like just kind of like control things, like very like light control things that like cis men will do
Mm-hmm.
to femme identifying people in queer spaces. And it's, still hard to like deal with that sort of stuff. Though I do feel like it's kind of lessening more and more with like the newer generations because people know better for the most part. But I definitely like have shared those experiences too.
I'm sorry that has been you and Annie's experience because it is um, just because you're presenting a certain way or that like what you're wearing or what you look like doesn't give anyone consent to do anything at all when it comes to anything. So definitely for everybody, don't touch someone unless consent. Even if you are friends or like that, it's definitely a big thing. But definitely don't go up to someone and just start being like, especially like I've known like hair touching has been a really big thing, and like the women experiences people going to touch your hair. Um, and I'm sure I see a lot of y'all nodding with
Mm-hmm.
that, knowing people are like, "Oh my gosh, look, let me touch this." And it's like, first, like, if you maybe asked first, I probably would have been like, "Yeah, that's fine." But like, you're just coming on as like, "No, don't touch me." But yeah, I do feel like there is things getting better because I feel like we've been like society and a lot of people are trying to be more open about communicating these things. I know we're all here trying to be like, yo, we're here and back off, like we deserve to have a space here. I think I was going to comment on something else but I do not remember what that is, so let's switch over to Jupiter.
Yeah. So piggybacking off of what Krem was speaking about, it's really wild to me that people seem to forget as if there isn't, an article by the biggest, essentially like a gatekeeper of the drag community who said some very horrible things about trans people and drag artists.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, I wonder if they're like the top figure in this community. Like I wonder if there was anything that people can reference to like look this up. How do people forget? It's ridiculous. And it's really belittling and demeaning because it's like diminishing what happened and like the insane fallout that was experienced during that time where like everyone was getting so much hate. Any like femme identifying performers, like that was, I remember seeing like Krem getting attacked all the time and I was getting like attacked too. And like it was just like everyone's drag was called into question, and it's like that happened. Like it's so wild, and it continues to happen. Definitely I think that the tides are shifting with like newer generations. But yeah, I want to like bring up something that happened the other day, which was a drag artist named Satin Flora on Twitter tweeted about the assault and the violence that they experience as a femme person, as a woman in nightclubs and in the gay scene perpetuated by gay men, and that gay men are not an exception to misogyny and violence. And it started this firestorm, if anybody saw, where San was getting attacked, being like, well, what are you even doing in these spaces and all this stuff? And it's just like gay men are so uncomfortable with being called out for their violence and the fact that they benefit from being men in society. And the fact that I kept seeing this argument being like, what are you doing in these spaces? And it's like women be gay. Are you dumb? Like,
Yeah.
What?
and like
Women are gay?
women be gay. Like women can be gay. Like women can be
What?
queer. Women can belong anywhere. Like
Mm.
it's so ridiculous. Like, and if they're participating in this gender performance, like then they're a gender performer. Then they're a drag performer. Period. Like there's no. It doesn't need to go any deeper than that, really. And yeah, I've definitely experienced a lot of like assault, trigger warning, sexual assault and whatnot, like in the nightlife scene. And like, yeah, being from Miami, like there's a lot of like wild shit and like stuff that contributes to people being really drunk and wanting to act wild. And one of the things that I noticed the most was the like double standard and or the backhanded like interactions I would see when cis AFAB or just AFAB performers would come into a scene or want to get a gig, and they would be treated a certain way by these gatekeeping men who like held the space or controlled the space, and then they would like not give me the same issues because to them like they would never call into question my validity being in a queer club, because to them I'm still I'm still one of them to them, which is like ridiculous. And that's one thing I noticed that really like bothers me, and not in a way where I'm like, God, I wish I experienced this extra misogyny. Like it's not like that, but it's just like being privy to seeing it is just like, do you fucking hear yourself? Like it's ridiculous. And they like hate being called misogynists. They hate being called trans misogynists. And it's like, then don't be a misogynist. Like it's so easy, baby. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm
Truly.
sorry that's been. Go ahead. This one's going to talk.
Oh, Luke was saying something, I think.
Oh,
I think they're just agreeing.
Yeah, I was just like, yep.
Okay. I don't want to like interrupt anybody. Sorry, Annie. I'm interrupting.
That's really it. That whole like Twitter thread, if anyone can find it, it's on Satin Flora's account, and it's like, yeah, the amount of like hate that they were receiving, and like it was wild. And yeah, men are absolute pigs. And if you are an exception to that, and if you're watching and you are a gay man or anybody who isn't an AFAB or a femme or a woman in these spaces, like if you are a bystander when you see these things happening, then you're absolutely part of the problem and you're perpetuating trans misogyny and misogyny. So like let's call you into question, baby. Like you need to do better for trans people, for femmes, for women, because like what are you doing? Like you're part of the problem.
Yeah, exactly that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that's been your experience too. What was I gonna say about that? Oh, lesbians, hi. You deserve to be seen and supported and loved. Hi, Annie.
Hi.
Because that's also a big thing too that we experience as women, is that we also don't get seen in our own community when we should be supported and loved. Because also lesbians make this world go around. So praise to lesbians. But that's definitely like an experience I've experienced in drag or out of drag, is like I'm not allowed to have a space, or like you can't do drag. Like I've definitely remember what I was going to mention about Creme was that I had people like when I started doing drag mention like you can't do drag, or like one of the things, my favorite thing that I had ever heard was like, you're better than this. And I was like, what does that even, I was like, I mean, honey, do you not see who I look like? Like, I look pretty amazing. So, but what do you mean that I'm better than, like, what does that even mean in anything that you're saying to somebody when they're, like, doing art creativity? And also to talk about Jupiter is definitely keeping people accountable. Just because we're trying to, like, call people out or whatever, like, we're trying to keep you accountable for what you should be doing. And don't take it as an attack. I mean, we're trying to like make the world a better place, and also like make you realize and check your privilege of what you're doing and like the gatekeeping. I hope this is coming out how it's supposed to sound. I feel like I'm not making any sense, but definitely it's not necessarily an attack. It's just that like just be better with what you're doing and like have acceptance. Like you know what it's like to have like to be seen different and to not accepted. So why are you now gatekeeping like a majority or a lot of people in the LGBT community and like, come on, we're talent, we're beautiful. Why not want to support us and look at us and like praise us? But anyway, enough about that. Luke, let's hear your experience.
Yeah, I think for me, especially something that like in Chicago we definitely experience is a difference in gay spaces and a difference in queer spaces. And I owe a lot of that to a lot of the people running shows and creating those spaces and how they foster those experiences. Like there are certain bars that, especially like the minute I go in there, I instantly feel like if I'm out of drag, people are like, what are you doing here? Again, as if like queer women don't just want to be out at a bar drinking a drink and seeing a drag show. Crazy. And so it's one of those things where it's like there's certain places, like there's certain bars that like unless I know a certain friend of mine is performing there, you will not catch me at that bar because I'm like, why would I spend money at a place to feel uncomfortable the whole night? Like it makes no sense, so it's a lot of those spaces where there's a lot of spaces that are definitely geared towards gay men and not queer people as a general. And I think also a lot of times people don't realize how much like how you cast shows and how you set the audience up. It's like a lot of times audiences learn from the host and learn from the show directors and the staff how to interact with people. Like I still remember to this day this happened like maybe only a little over a year ago. Literally did a gig and like something that's always been a struggle for me is like I have a large chest, so binding is really hard for me as a drag king to like get that illusion. I was like I can't do tape because I sweat a lot and I move around a lot, so like I have to bind, and even that it's still hard, and like you still can tell that like what my body is like not to the full extent, but it was so weird. I did a gig where like literally like every queen in the show had like these massive chest plates and everyone was like, oh my God, like living the house down boots for it. And then some like man came up to me after the show and he was like, oh, is yours real? And I was like, yeah. And he went, ugh, and like walked away. And I was like, you literally just praised every single queen on the stage for having like a humongous chest plate. But the minute that you found out that my breasts were real, I was like, was I entertaining or not? Like, literally, this has no effect on, like, I'm not gonna whip them out on you in the club. Like, I'm not gonna touch you with them. Like, well,
let me just take a breast out and like slam it on the table. And
right?
just...
like, what did you think I was going to do with it?
It's not like a weapon. I mean, it can be. All right.
I mean, it can be, but it's not going to be. I feel a little too body conscious to take them out in public. So like, it's just not gonna happen. So it's just like literally. Why? And the fact that it was like I had already done the full gig, it was like after the performance, so it was like literally why? I just don't understand people like that. I usually get a lot of those comments where it's like people like get weirded out by that, or it's like backstage and I'll talk about like, yeah, I'm on my period right now, I'm really fucking bloated, and people and like there are
and they're like,
will be like, oh, and I was like, if I have to see all of your body parts out, I can talk about me like being really bloated for like we all have body parts and it's okay. Like we can equally talk up. If you go talk about your body parts, I can talk about mine. Since you didn't ask for my consent to see your body parts, and like I will talk about the fact that like I'm cramping right now, and it's like, and then now on top of that, I have a binder on it, so now I'm pressing everything against that and having to like wear layers of clothing and like sweating and like haven't eaten that much today. So like, all these things where it sounds one of those things where it's like, we all have body parts and like we all have body parts. We all exist.
Bodily
body
functions.
Parts and, like, right. Yeah. And we all do that. And it's like, I have no problem with whatever your anatomy is, but at the same time, don't then be weirded out by my anatomy when like literally that is just part of how human bodies work is with drag, is that we all wear clothing and put things on top of our body and have to deal with like certain bodily pains in drag of some sort. Like we all deal with that to some degree, whether it's having a wig that's too tight, like having to tuck or to bind or to wear an outfit that feels too tight. Like we all deal with that. So it makes no sense to me why it's gross when I talk about it, when literally everyone else in the dressing room will talk about it as well. And so the stuff like that's always weird. And it's always like, okay, like noted. I'm like, the Scorpio moon is like, noted. We'll write that down in my mind, and like probably will try to avoid being in a gig with you again because I don't want to feel comfortable again. Um, but it's always a weird thing, and I feel like especially like I already know I look weird, so I'm already prepared for like some blank faces in the audience because they're like, I don't even know. They're like, most people are like, I don't know what a king is. And on top of that, I don't really know what this is. And I'm like, that's fair. I totally get that. Like, I have to do a lot of work to sell you on the fantasy, but it's always weird when like, I think people are, the minute they hear you're not a queen, instantly want to like write off in their minds like, oh, this is not going to be entertaining. That and there's or certain things like I hate when people will be like, oh, you're a king, but like you wear like really fun makeup. And I was like, okay, and like or like or are only asking for kings to wear certain outfits. And I was like, okay, well, there's also plenty of other valid performers out there that you're just crediting because, and you're comparing me to another person and being like, oh, because that person wore a flannel, you don't like what they're doing. I was like, there's plenty of queens in a Forever 21 dress that look stunning, and like you don't. I was like, it's all up to whatever people decide as their drag, and it's weird when people. So I'm kind of going on a tangent, but just a lot of that, I think people put a lot of pressure on kings because they already, the underlining misogyny of like assuming that that this is a female into male transformation, which in a lot of cases is not always. Like there are AMAB kings, there are trans kings, there, like it's not always someone who identifies as female out of drag. So it's a bad assumption on that part, and then on top of that, then assuming that their drag is invalid and putting all these other expectations on it, um, is always bizarre to me because it all stems from that idea of assuming that they are female and therefore that they aren't doing drag as well, when it's like that's literally like the transformation is still happening. It's still happening. The entertainment is still happening. So literally
You're still
that
killing
is
it.
what drag is. Right. I was like,
Yeah.
that's what we need is some kind of entertainment. And is that happening? Yes. So literally someone's anatomy does not affect how good their the quality of their
Yeah.
performance.
It's like
Yeah.
if they have a certain body part or like or whatever, like insert body image or like look, it's like, oh well, since they have this, I'm instantly gonna like them. Like it's like that golden ticket for them being like
Mm.
accepted into shows or accepted in people's hearts and minds, when like especially drag kings do not get seen as much as they
Yeah.
should. And it's really horrible because talented and amazing and fun, and also it's like it's selling that like different masculinity, and like I don't know why we're shying away from that. And why is it
Right.
just because there's like a woman doing it, like
Yeah.
why is that gross?
And it's
Because
Yeah, and it's just thinking about like my journey is like I feel like my first year was such a hard grind getting people to even know who I was because people limited our city to essentially one person, and like and they're talented and wonderful and I love this performer, but also like they're not the only king that exists in our city. And so the thing of like that's great, but also like you can't keep comparing us to the one person. I was like, they're doing their own thing. It's like, well, I'm not trying to copy what they do. They had their own brand. Like why would I try to copy their brand? I'm trying to be my own person. And and the idea of like everyone being like, oh, we'll accept one. We'll allow one. And that's it. And the same thing, I feel like what happens with a lot of these marginalized drag identities that people allow just one. They're like, we'll allow just one. Or we'll have one per show and that's it. And we can't let anyone else in because like that's too much. Heaven forbid we have two trans queens, or like heaven forbid we have two kings. Like, oh, as if that's, you know, egregious. When it's like, no, I assure you your show will be just as wonderful. I assure you it will be great. You can have more than one and the show will be great. And also then we will feel less isolated in the dressing room when we're not the only person of
Mm-hmm.
our kind
yeah,
back there. Yeah, which is a big
yeah,
thing also. I think I put a lot of onus on show hosts. It is your job to take care of your people and to think about the cast and think about how the audience is going to receive this person, and think about how people are going to treat your people in the backstage. Like that is your job is to take
It's like a
care of your people.
responsibility, and they should
Yeah.
be also, I think, when anybody is deciding to cast like a show or a performance, you should think about what type of people do you have. Do you have trans there? Do you have POC? Do you have drag kings? Like, do you have a variety? Do you have diversity in this? And we're seeing a lot of that where it's very much lacking, where POC are not being represented and shown and given a light on the stage, and trans and AFAB, we're not seeing that type, and that also should fall onto the people hosting the show for sure.
Yeah.
But we're gonna transition to Hermaphrodita. Let's hear about your experience.
I think I've been kind of lucky because in Colombia, like drag or queer community is so small. So me and my friends were like the first ones to create a group of queer people called New Queers on the Block. And it was like to host every week we hosted a show for like drag queens, drag kings, and AFAB queens. But I was the only AFAB queen. So it was kind of funny because people didn't know. Actually, I feel like I got to teach people because they didn't know there was such a thing as an AFAB queen. And when I started doing drag, people were like, oh, this is cool. So because it was something new, and just the whole idea of queerness in Colombia was like a different concept. So I felt like I was accepted because they didn't know better. But if it wasn't a different experience, probably. Actually now, people will be like, oh my God, like here in Colombia, right? People will be like, oh my God, you're Hermaphrodita. You're like the first one started the whole females doing drag. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing that I was just like kind of affected me was when I started, like I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do my makeup like. And some days I just want to do some simple look. Like right now, I want to look like pageant queen like. Other days I want to do full color, whatever. But when I did kind of like this look, people will make comments and say, well, why don't you just don't change? You just don't like, why do you want to wear makeup that makes you look just like a girl? Like if you want to be, if you're going to be an AFAB queen, people like demand so much from you. Like they want a transformation that you look like an animal or something. I'm like, well, I can't. It's like this. I'm sorry, this is how I look. So people make comments like, oh yeah, but that's like we've seen you with that makeup when you're just like in your normal self. And I'm like, no, no. These brows don't look like, no, that's so weird. So I feel like for me, it's been more demanding and it kind of affected me because I feel sometimes I want to do a look where it just looks simple and like easy, quick 1 hour drag. But then people will be like, yeah, but you don't look like a drag. You look like, because they already have this idea of what a drag should look like. Especially like the whole scene here started, or when there is a new season of RuPaul's Drag Race, there is always like the comments like, oh my God, you see, drag is not for everyone because there's see women in Drag Race. And I'm like, first of all, who cares? Like Drag Race, sometimes you see people like would be doing more work than some drag queens that you see there. I'm like, questionable, but you know, it's a TV show. So there are people that know me because everything, like all the work that I've done as an activist here in Colombia, like a queer activist. But there's always like the comparison of like, oh, you're trying to do a makeup like this one or this, and I'm like, just
The
because
comparison.
yeah, the comparison is the worst. Also, when I started seeing like some other women doing drag here in Colombia, people will make like, what do you think? So do you like it? Do you approve it? And I'm like, I don't know that. And they would try to make this like a fight kind of, or like a comparison, trying to make this drama about, it's like they can, someone was saying before, I who it was, but said like it can be two of the same, you know, like there's already, we already have the trans one, we already have the AFAB queen. So when there is another one who wants to do it, people will make comments saying, so there is a new girl who's doing drag, what do you think? And I'm like, honestly, don't care. Everyone is free to do whatever they want.
There's room for everybody.
Yeah, so, and because like I don't know them. Like I honestly don't care. And it's not me trying to be rude. Just don't know them.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I've done shows, the other thing that happens to me is because I used to be I'm a former professional dancer. So I'm used to doing shows and dancing, but my drag, I don't like to really dance and do all that. Like I'm trying to do more. I like this idea of digital drag and stuff. Like, but performing is not really for me. But people are like, we want you to look different, but then you should be doing shows and stuff like you're doing your real life. And I'm like, but the whole idea is to create a different person. But then when I do my makeup, you're telling me I look like the same person. It just doesn't make sense. Like I feel it's a little bit more demanding. Like they ask for more for us than they do to any other cis man that is doing, but just eyeliner and that's it. And I'm
And they're not
like,
paying us for it either.
yeah, that's the other thing. Like you see shows where like the cis man will get like a bunch of tips or whatever, and the girl is just like, oh yeah, cool, a girl who likes gay stuff.
Wow, you
And
did so good.
yeah, and I'm like, I put a lot of work into this. So yeah, but like overall, my experience here, I feel like it's one of the first ones to start it here in Colombia, so it's been good. But when it goes online, it's always a problem because it's always the people who just watch Drag Race who never done drag, or the people who never touch makeup, or just the ones that become drag queens because they want to be on Drag Race or some stuff like that. So it's always like online. It's one of the worst places to be, like honestly. But yeah, that's like my personal experience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's really cool. I didn't know this is actually the first time getting to like chat with you like here. And it was really nice to hear that you were able to create that space and be able to kind of like educate people on that. But it definitely is unfortunate that you're still seeing that where they're like, oh well there can only be like the one, the you, or that
Yeah.
you know, you're like my drag persona is gonna be different than me. So maybe I don't wanna dance, maybe I wanna be like I always love the idea of doing like statue drag where like you're just sitting there and then you slowly come to life. Because I'm not a dancer,
Yeah.
but I'm also like I'm a big lady and there's a lot to move around and it is exhausting. So but yeah, it is very unfortunate that we as women, whether it's a trans woman or drag king or whatever, that we have to sell ourselves way more because we've all seen just the cute cisgender drag queen that's like gets up there and maybe they're like their drag is valid, so I don't want to like come across that their drag is not valid. Hold on, honey, come here. You can't go out right now. She's like, please let me out. I want to go. I just ate dinner and I'm ready to be free.
Yeah.
But it's you'll see the people that are like really pretty or they won't really do much and they get like so much tips. They get so much praise because they might be skinny or they might just be really cute, but they don't really do anything. And then you have people that are literally working and they spend hours on their makeup, they spend hours on their number, they're dancing, they're jumping around, they're doing all these things that are absolutely amazing and sometimes difficult, but you have that one queen that did one death drop and there the whole crowd is freaking out. So it's definitely something that I feel like we've all seen that.
Yeah, 'cause I think that's my big problem is like, it's like, what have your thoughts on how drag you think is valid, but also when it comes down to my money, like that's when I have a problem. It's like for instance, like, okay, for instance, this brunch gig I had this morning where like I definitely got tipped less than the two other people I performed with. And like, you could definitely tell they were like, I don't really know what this is because it's a very straight crowd. And I was like, at the minute I got there, I was like, oh, I already know I'm not gonna make as much money. But it's annoying because it's like, okay, I'm bringing just as much energy and performance as they are, and like, but fully watching people like hand them fives, and then like I come to the table and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, I literally saw you hand a five to the other person, and I know I saw you break that 50, so I know you have it. So that's, and I think that's the biggest thing is it's like when it comes down to my money, it's like that's when it comes to like that gatekeeping that's gets annoying. It's like when you're holding only one token person and booking the same token all the time, you're now holding all of us else to fight for that gig, and now it's annoying because it's like I'm not here to be in competition with that person. Like I really, it's not about me being in competition. It's annoying that now I feel like I have to compete with them in order to make sure that I get paid what I should get paid, but like kitty ball. But like, you know what I mean? But it's like when it comes down to this, like, and I think that's unfortunately a lot of drag races contributed to this idea of competing for this gig when it's like a lot of drag people are really supportive of one another. It's just the fact that like when it comes down to our money, now we're like, oh, now which is I mean, the big problem we had in Chicago is that like having people dangling really valuable, well-paying gigs over people's heads, and then people fighting for it, and people that are really sweet, but then like, you know, I, questioning their friendships because they're like, okay, you're a talented person, but also at the end of the day, I want to make sure I get that steady gig. And so like, and that thing of like, it sucks when people feel like they need to put their artistry or their friendships at risk, and just in order to make sure that they are getting compensation for their art. And it should never be that way. It's like, again,
No,
it's like
no.
you could, I was like, if you're in your 421 dress, like by all means, sis, like I live for it, but just please make sure that you're also tipping me the same amount you're tipping her. Like I was like, it's totally fine, just tip us the same.
Mhm.
Like have a one for everybody, have a five for everybody, just hand everybody the same tip. And
Yeah.
then, you know what I mean, like just tip everyone equally, it's like, or if you don't have tips, like whatever it is, just show
Yeah.
appreciation equally, because
Exactly.
it's not just tips, it's also the energy in the room. It's how you cheer for people, it's all those things, like all those things add to it. It's not just the money, it's about like coming out to onto the stage and and the reception you get, and like obviously, like not to say that like we're all perfect and that our drag is immaculate and that like every number is amazing, but just in general, it's like, okay, like if give people the same respect that you give someone else, like off the bat, and then if you really don't fuck with that performer, then be like, all right, cute, maybe I just won't go to the show, and keep it at that. Like it pays
Yeah.
no money to just not go to the bathroom, throw the number, like find a cute reason to not be out there openly not supporting them, you know it's
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
plenty thing, go to the bar, get a drink, and be like, oh, I can't tip it, I was at the bar, like I don't know, whatever, just make it less obvious.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that way
Exactly.
it's cute.
If
Yeah.
I could,
Yes.
I just wanted to add that it doesn't start and stop with like showrunners and promoters who think like, okay, well, I've booked this drag king or I've booked this AFAB performer, like the work is done, and it's like it's a domino effect essentially. Like it's like the showrunners, the promoters, the owners, like it's all such a male dominated industry anyways, and I feel like the best thing that you can do, because the reality is like you're not going to give up your position, like you're going to do what you want to do, whatever, like then there needs to be a direct call to action to enact like positive change, and like say, like if you're the host of the show, like don't just book the drag king and then throw him on stage in a crowd that is that like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock brunch crowd that is not going to know shit, because they're just like a bunch of like drag race loving cis people, like whatever, like thank you for your money, but like they're not going to really understand. And it's like it is
Yeah.
your job, if you want to be this figurehead and you want to be like the host of these events and be taking all this glory and whatnot, then you better be doing the work of like, when you bring someone on stage, you mention like a drag king on stage, be like, oh, it was actually Stormy Devereaux who was the first person to throw the first a hit
Educate.
at Stonewall. And it's
Yeah.
like, like educate, because like I feel that the power really lies in like making sure that the audience understands the importance and validity, because when the showrunners and the hosts don't give a fuck either, they're setting the tone. So you booked
Yeah.
that drag king, but even you're turned around talking to the DJ and you're hosting whatever, you're not on the
Hmm.
mic hyping them up. Like that's a problem, especially when you do it for the gay drag queens, whatever. It's like, no, like give that same energy and go even harder, because you know that they're not going to make as much money, because you know that's
Right.
how it usually ends up being. So make sure that you like talk about it and that you like give them that platform and like make sure that they're respected. Like
Yeah. And
that's what you have to do
and
if you
that takes
host.
a toll on the performer as well. Like the amount of times I have been thrown out to the wolves of an audience and it sucks. It really does suck, and as again, it's like a part of it is like I understand that my drag is different. So I'm already prepared for like blank faces at times. But it really does suck when it's like, okay, there are things you could have done to at least warm the crowd up a little bit more, and and that's why there's definitely certain people that I'm like, I don't work with, because I'm like, if I constantly feel like crap every time I do your gig, why would I keep doing it? Like I was like, I just, and I think a lot of times people want to act like their gigs are the only gigs. It was like there's, especially with digital, I was like, even before digital drag, I was like, I believe that there's still plenty of gigs in a city that, like, if it means to say no to more things to mean that you are leaving a show happier, sometimes you have to do that. But especially digital drag, I was like, there's just so many digital drag shows out there that I was like, there's just no excuse that, like, uh I'm not gonna go to the, I'm not, the shows I keep repeating doing are the ones that I feel taken care of, and I feel like the hosts are like looking out and have my back and support me. And it's like, again, it's like, if you value this talent that you're bringing in, then take care of them. It's like, if you really value them, then like make sure they're well cared for, and they're not just thrown out to the audience that isn't warmed up for them and isn't ready for them. And like, if they're a little different, then like get the crowd hyped, like like Jupiter said, like get them excited and get them hyped and get them ready so that they know what they're in for. And then it's like most people are most likely going to be hype. You just have to guide them to be hype. A lot of times people just don't
Sell
know.
it. Sell the
Yeah.
fantasy too, because sometimes
Right.
you need that. And like Chalora just commented in the chat, like some transparency could help, checking in. I think also sometimes asking, hey, what would you like to see? Or like, if this is your first time hosting someone, like, what can I do to help you in this situation? And like bring that. I don't know if that's like a good thing to think about, but definitely.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have to add? We do have like a half an hour left, so I want to make sure we talk about. No, it's okay. I think these are really great conversations, and I think people are definitely feeling our vibe. And I think, if this is a hard thing that we have experienced, this is a hard thing that other drag artists are experiencing as well. And these conversations need to happen, and that's why we're hosting this, and that's why I have you all on here to talk about your experiences. So did anyone else want to add to that before we transition out of this?
I think someone said earlier that, like, I guess there's this image of like drag being like cis males presenting as female and doing like all these like dancey kind of like, there's a particular image like from Drag Race Perpetuated that like everyone's kind of dancing around. And like the thing I found when I came into drag, like I did like a few like 90s pop numbers and everyone vibed with that or whatever, but as soon as I started doing ballads, I really love to do like power ballads and kind of slower numbers as well. And I was pretty immediately like told at like the main club I perform at that like that kind of stuff, like you kind of avoid doing that. Like, oh, it's okay to do that like a couple of times, but generally you got to do this kind of drag. And I'm like, I'm older than most of them, and I'm kind of uncoordinated, so I don't really dance around heaps, unless I'm kind of like owning my daggy dancing fantasy. So I feel like in general, like diversity of like performers, types of performers, as well as like how you perform like in general is better for everybody in the drag scene. Like creating like different kinds of nights where we all don't all just need to like learn how to do splits and death drops and whatnot or whatever. Like surely that benefits like cis men in drag as well, because not all of them can do that. Like not everyone is like a 20-year-old twink that is like flexible and like can put their like leg up to here or whatever.
Oh, you
so
mean you
surely
can't
it's better.
do that? Hold on, let me just.
I can't. No.
I'm just kidding.
And I won't do that because I'm doing a RuPaul and I'm wearing pajama pants underneath this, so you want to see it. Yeah. So we'll leave that. But yeah, surely diversity in general like is better for everybody in the long run. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yeah, drag can be. I think especially the people, especially with digital drag, I realize how much you can do with drag. And so the idea of like, again, it's like we don't, it's like if you normalize it and just make it part of a regular thing of your show to have a diversity in styles and types of identities of people performing, is like, then people get used to it. Yeah, exactly. It's like not everyone does that, and that's totally valid. It's like those things are amazing to watch, but like I'm like, I let people who know how to do those things do it. I'm like, I cannot. It was like the people who do it well, and I'm not one of them. So I'm gonna do what I do well. And it's like we each have our strengths and specialties. And it's like everyone can do different things. And I'd rather just watch the people who can do the splits well, and people who can't do the splits do what they do well on their own and equally love it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else? Okay, cool. So let's briefly touch a little bit about redacted drag race and kind of how that's affected us. We only have about 30 minutes, but let's kind of just quickly talk about that because I think there was a question about that can female drag queens take part in RuPaul's or redacted? Not currently, but there has been some trans women on there. I know for me when I found out that I was not accepted on that I was definitely really upset and that I was like, what? Why not? Like you're giving a platform for these amazing artists, but like why are you limiting over half of them or whatever? And why is it only just beauty and like I understand it's TV, but that was definitely like an effect on me and I think it also affects how we can be seen as well as like we've mentioned before having to sell ourselves way more is like oh well like especially for me who's always been like more of a comedy queen and like a dirty comedy queen with like sauces and like one time I did a period skit like I did like all these different things and so it's like how that for me like was not easily perceived because there's all that like how drag is seen as literally in drag race and not like kind of the club scene as well because that's what people really have focused on drag race. So I feel like for me like I don't get loved and supported but I bet you if we had a lot more like femme representation on RuPaul or that there would be a lot more like acceptance and stuff like that and people should use their platforms for that kind of stuff. um but enough about my experience. Annie, how has that affected you and your drag and how you've been perceived?
Um, the the thing I found most wild about like the way in which they talk about trans women, like on Drag Race was this idea of like, um, this kind of real trans medicalist perspective that like trans women were seen as like not really trans women if they hadn't started hormones or they hadn't gotten surgery or whatever. Um, that like oh we have had some trans women, but like they came out like during the show or like didn't really mention it, but like they've never really had like a trans woman like from the get go. Like her Meet the Queens interview is like I'm a trans woman and like kind of owning that or whatever from the get go. And Rue said like all those damaging things about like well if you have um like real boobs or whatever like apparently you have like some sort of advantage or whatever as if my like little mini A cups are like giving me such an edge on like on all these queens that have been doing like drag for ages, like just reducing us down to like our bodies or whatever is so um like fucked up and damaging. But like I think with Gottmik, like what's happened since our last set of panels or whatever is Gottmik is on the show. And obviously it's still like like hella problematic that like we don't have trans women on the show, and like obviously it's still part of like Rue's weird like agenda about like trans women have this like advantage in terms of being queens or whatever. But like the people have really embraced Gottmik, like the general drag audience have embraced Gottmik, and I feel like it surely I'm like hoping I'm like surely this shows the producers and their little like narrow minds about like what works for like drag race audiences, that like audiences can embrace like different types of people doing drag. And like I'm like really hoping that like maybe like this is me like being a little bit hopeful, like I don't think the producers want to do it, but I feel like at the moment like the pressure is showing them that like they can have trans women or AFAB queens or kings on shows, and like the audience still will embrace them if you kind of educate them or whatever. And there have been a lot of educational
Support.
moments about like
Support 'em.
trans men. Yeah, so I feel like we can definitely see the light. Maybe I don't know if they still don't learn, then fuck them. Like
Yeah.
let's do our own show.
Let's me and you, Annie, Femmes and Thems 3, but we'll make it like a TV show. Somebody sponsor me and Annie to do our show again. Thank you very much. But yeah, hopefully the pressure will definitely keep people keep them to want to do it. Not that I think that's going to solve our issues, because I think this is definitely like not just started with Drag Race, but I think it continues with Drag Race. I hope that makes sense. Krem, would you like to talk about your experience about that or your opinions or yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that it's like hard to say, like going off of what Annie's point was about having different type of representation, but also not really, because it's a thin white of privilege representation that already existed in the show. So it's like a small step forward, but also like another one back. So it's like it really depends on having to see people who identify differently, but also look, not like what is their idea of what is going to be socially acceptable, if that makes sense. And going off of that point, like having trans women that are actually, that have like their breasts done and stuff before going on the show would be a huge improvement. Like as far as like, seeing the different types of drag and all that stuff that exists, like we need to have like drag artists that look like drag artists in real life. Like I'm sure we all have like a laundry list of like trans performers that we would love to see on Drag Race that would not be on the show now because of their physical enhancements or whatever is considered to be, an advantage, which is not, as we all know. I just like, personally, I'm like bored. I'm like over it. I haven't watched the show in 2 seasons. Also partially because I'm like going back and rewatching, from the beginning to show like Mr. Crumb, like everything that has like happened so far, so that he understands the jokes that my friends are making, like but it just like hasn't given me like the fuel, the fire to like watch it. Like it feels monotonous, feels the same. It feels not, innovative or new anymore. It's kind of like eating its own tail, where every season is just a reference of other seasons. It's just like all they're like referencing. It's becoming incredibly self-referential on that, to the point where it was like super exciting before when you were watching like, seasons 1 through like 7, and you're like, oh my god, these are wild people that were just put into like a cage together and like see what happens. Now it's just becoming like, oh, I'm just referencing like season 5 quotes for the entire like season 11 or whatever it is. It was definitely something that for me personally was like a goal when I started doing drag, when I was like a baby queen, and like thought about like, oh my god, I want to do this. And I even auditioned, I think, for season 9 of the show. And as I'm like getting older, I'm like, do I really want to like subject myself to what it has become and what it is? And if it, I don't even want to watch the show because I'm not entertained, why would I want to be on it? And it just becomes this thing where it's like, what they expect of you, the challenges. It's like, I don't want to, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do it, and it becomes part of like, it's just like hard to say, because like people don't measure your success until you have been on Drag Race. You can do a million different things, you can be awarded a million different titles, but it doesn't mean shit until you get on Drag Race, basically. And I kind of talked about this in my Insta stories earlier, because like you get like constantly like, you need to be on Drag Race, you need to be on Drag Race comments, you need to be on Drag Race, you need to be the first woman on Drag Race, you need to be the first person to do this. And I'm like, but do I really have to though? Like, what are you waiting for? Like, you're waiting for me to get on Drag Race to buy my merch, to tip me, to support me, and to watch my shows? Because that's what it feels like a portion of people do. They see like you and they're kind of like keeping an eye on you, but they're not going to really support you until like RuPaul has given his like stamp of approval on you on the show. And it's like, even if you were to get on the show, what if something bad happens? What if there's drama? Like all of a sudden your mom is getting death threats and your dad's getting death threats, and like people are saying that they're going to come throw acid at your face in the club. It's like, is it really fun anymore? Is it worth it? Do we want that? Like as like performers, like it opens up so many opportunities that it's unavoidable for us to not want that, because it opens up like this world of opportunity that we could never really get otherwise. So it's like, when you have that thought of like, I don't want to be on the show anymore, like this isn't my goal, that I have grown past this need to do it, but now I have to accept that there's a lot of things that I will not have and that I will never be offered to me. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like Drag Race has done a lot to a certain extent, but it has also like taken our opportunities and all that stuff back like again. So it's kind of, it's a catch-22. It's like a double-edged sword. You can't like live, we can't live with it and we can't live like without it at the same time, because we depend on like, even just performers that aren't on Drag Race, like a lot of us maybe have friends that were and got opportunities like through that, or are kind of like piggybacking off of like what the people that have been on Drag Race say publicly. So if like Trixie Mattel says like women doing drag is like fierce, all of a sudden people think women doing drag is fierce. But
Yeah.
it took, you know, somebody at that caliber to say that for people to come to terms with the idea, because you could say it could come out of your mouth 1,000 times and they don't care. You know what I mean? And even then it's like, yeah, they'll like follow you, but they're not gonna like buy your merch. Like that, I'm reserving that for like Trinity when I go see her at TriCon. Like my money is reserved for these people, but I'll look at you, like that sort of thing. So it's kind of like, you know, it's just a bunch of shit.
It's
Like
it's
there's
frustrating.
so many frustrations, so many feelings about it that are so conflicting with each other. But I think us as drag performers, we have these moments where it's just like, you know, we're having like our breakdowns where we're like, how am I gonna get to that place? Like I'm like, even like somebody that I would consider myself at like a pretty like decent level in the drag community, it's like, okay, but how do I go further? Like there's really like, I'm at like a glass ceiling where it's like, okay, now the next step is Drag Race. But if you don't want to do that, there's nowhere to go. Like you can't get out of the box unless you do it. So I think it's like really frustrating for a lot of us, because as much as a lot of us like want to see ourselves doing this forever, there's that question of like, how is it going to be feasible for us to be able to have a career like Drag Race girls have in drag, with the stability and the financial security to do so, and not struggling or living, you know, show to show for the rest of our lives.
That's yeah, I definitely hit that like myself, because I definitely like on Twitch, I feel like I do pretty decent, and like being on Stream Queens, I feel like I've gotten like some opportunities, especially being able to give a platform to people here, and me and Annie host our shows, but it's like I'm still feel like I have to fight. Like on the team, I'm like considered the AFAB like headliner, right? We do have other AFAB artists, but like I'm like it's like the one that's been on here for a minute, and like not that I like that's what it is, and that's not what anyone's saying, but it's like I'm definitely known on the team, but like I definitely feel like I'm supported with my team, and I'm so thankful to be a part of a team that's so amazing. But like I definitely feel that frustration of like I can't be on Drag Race. I'm also not being like seen a lot of the times in the drag community on Twitch anyway, because I'm not this, or I don't have that or that. And I definitely know for you, Krim, you have been working so hard over the years for these things, and now it's so frustrating to see like that is the cap, and then you're like, well, morally I don't want to be on this because it's like this whole thing, and I'm being like stuck in this position of like what else can I possibly do. And I feel like a lot of us are experiencing that as women doing drag, is like, what else do I have to do, what else do I have to sell, how like obviously listening to you all and trying to like bring my drag up more, or do this or improve that, is like not selling it to you. You're not buying my merch, you're not subbing to this, or you're not doing that, is like what else is going to be the thing. It's very it's so frustrating. It's something that I definitely like constantly think, should I just give up on this? Should I give up doing drag? Should I like, you know, like I feel like I'm really trying to like help like make the way for other people to be able to do things, but then I'm like, am I even making any fucking headway? Like, and I'm sure Krim, you feel that way as well. Like, what else? Like, what am I gonna do? Um, but yes, Jupiter. Um,
Yeah. I used to really want to get on Drag Race, and I was getting things together to audition. And I don't know, I just kept hearing in the back of my head like that it was just going to be a waste of time, because I kept thinking about that article that RuPaul had, that famous interview. And now I'm firmly in like the headspace of like fuck RuPaul. Like I literally cannot stand that man. I think he's completely evil, a misogynistic, transphobic pig. And he contributes with all this power that he has and this influence that he has over these audiences. He is contributing to further alienating trans people and women from these spaces and femmes. And it's like, this is like, you owe so much to women, to trans people. Like you can literally find like interviews of RuPaul talking about how when he used to do drag, he would like be in dressing rooms with all these trans women in Atlanta, and he like loved these Atlanta drag artists who were all trans entertainers, and like he like owes it all to them, and they taught him everything. There's so much like recorded documentation of this, and the fact that he like firsthand was there seeing these people and then decided to just like turn his back on all these people is completely evil. There's just like it's such a like it's I have no interest in like this like corporate fantasy of like drag races like bourgeoisie. Like no bitch, like that's not like I cannot. And I think it's so annoying like when people have your drag race fave totally, but like call them out if they're not doing enough to call these things out, especially if they like to seem woke online, but then when they're presented with the opportunity to actually call these things out on live television, but you've been on Twitter talking all this shit and like trying to seem like you're like this like woke POC, like PC, sorry, oh my god, PC person, and it's like, where is like this like attitude? Like you need to say something. Like I don't know, and Gottmik being like praised for being this trans person to get on Drag Race. It's like, yeah, that's so cool, but Gottmik is a skinny white twink. Like what boundaries are being broken besides the fact that, you know, like they're a trans guy? Like it's amazing, cool, but like RuPaul specifically said things against, like it's kind of like being given to like shoved in our faces back as trans women and as women, female entertainers, to be told like, oh well, like look, Gottmik got on. First of all, that's like what I mentioned earlier, where it's like it's like
It's a bare minimum.
transphobic. It's transphobic
Yeah.
coded to be like, yeah, because it's like, well, they're the same thing, and it's like Gottmik is not a woman. So what does that have to do with women not being allowed on Drag Race? Like, what the fuck are you saying? Get out of here.
Yeah.
I firmly just cannot like. It was really like crushing to realize like, oh, I'm not gonna do this. But then it was really liberating to realize like so many of the performers that I adore and I look up to and I love so much that I can call my friends and whatnot, like in different scenes, like they're all such like radical, like fun people who like their goals aren't Drag Race. Their goals are just to continue being like figureheads in their communities and like having fun and doing performance and being part of this community and this scene. Like that's what I love, and that's what I want to do with my drag. Like I'm not yeah, Drag Race is just like this like complete, like you just have to sell out to like accept this lifestyle. Like you it's like it's like Grimes being with Elon Musk. It's like now you're like a class traitor and you're like a traitor to the queer community and to trans people. Like congratulations, you're like the disappointment of your community now. Like cis people love you now, great, but like the people who like should matter to you, that taught you drag and that invented this art form, essentially, you're like just spitting on us. Like you don't give a fuck. It's really upsetting, and but it's been really liberating to like shift into being like, okay, there's other opportunities there anyways. Like so, like I mean, Dragula is like a really great opportunity for people, and like I know there's like Camp Wanakiki, and I wish those things had more funding and whatnot. But one thing that is in the works now, I just want to say this, is that allegedly there's going to be a Drag Race España, and the one of the judges is going to be Paca La Pirana, which is from Veneno. She was Cristina La Veneno. Was like, yes, increíble. Like I'm like gagging. She's Cristina La Veneno's best friend, and then the Javis, who are the two directors of Veneno, are also going to be judges. So I mean, if there's not going to be like a shit ton of trans performers, then what's going on? Like that would be wild. So I think we're going to get a lot of trans performers soon, but it's just funny to see like it has to happen like somewhere different. Like why can't it be like everywhere? Why can't this be the standard? Like why? Like I don't understand. Like I mean, I know Drag Race Thailand. I'm pretty sure that the winner was a trans woman, right? Was she trans? She was trans on the show.
I think she transitioned after also. Like she said she was trans in the show, but she wasn't like full transition, and like she didn't have breasts and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's wild that it's so wild how they just like can't seem to find like one of the things that made the earliest seasons of Drag Race so spectacular, like Krem was saying, like 1 to 7, was that it really felt like they were plucking like the most iconic personalities in drag, essentially, and like that pool of iconic personalities in trans and femme and AFAB performers has been untouched. So there's so many legendary people who have not even been put on Drag Race who would be the only Carrie, the only gag, who would be incredible, who would make the like revitalize the show and be like, oh my god, this is like an Alaska character. This is like a you know, like it's like a person, like a real character, not somebody who like is self-referential, like boring. Like I don't care for that. And I
Yeah.
feel like that would be like that needs to happen. They need to put drag kings on. They need to put all kinds of entertainers. Like your show like is the barometer for cis people's understanding of like queer culture. And then you're like isolating so many people. It's like you're like this is maybe you're gonna go down in the history books and not for the right reasons, RuPaul.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We do kind of have to hurry up a little bit.
Yeah.
But Luke, let's hear yours.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a lot of sentiments, especially I think with Creme is especially pointing at the fact that like it. I also find it really bizarre when people suggest you'll be on Drag Race, and it's like, why are you waiting for me to be on a national show to uplift me? And the fact that it was like, I actually need your money more now when I'm working at a local level. I need your support now when in order to get to that like the amount of people suggest like, oh, you should do drag. I'm like, I'm actually not that spoopy. Like I roll my eyes, but like I'm really not that scary. Like I don't want to eat bugs. I don't want to be put my feet at ice. I don't want to get tattooed. Like I don't want to skydive. I want to do the challenges, but I don't want to do those things. So for me, it's like stuff like that where it's like, okay, why is it that I need to be on the show in order for y'all to support me? I was like, even if I did do that show, I'm always barely paying rent. Like, what in the world makes you think I have money to go on a competition show? Like, even if I asked all my friends to shell out stuff for the week, like I just would not have the funds for it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of local talent does not have the funds for that. Or if they do, they're taking out massive loans, they're taking out mortgages, to do this stuff. And it's like support these people at local level, support them so they can have the efforts that they want to have, they can elevate their drag that they want to do. Like all the things you're wanting to see them do it on TV. You can also watch it from the comfort of your local bar by supporting them locally and giving them the funds that they need and the support that they need to do it locally. And it's like, yeah, like why wait to see them on TV when we can literally see them right in front of you? Why wait till then? And I agree that some people have made Drag Race the goal when for me, like that's never been a goal of mine. Like I especially I did Chicago, the very competition based city, and I really hate competitions, and I really do. I like there's very little that I've done, but it's just like I would love to see the future of drag move towards ways of celebrating drag without it always being competition and without it always needing to put people against each other. Or because I think about it, like, for instance, like I was like, yes, like certain drag race girls in the city have featured me and stuff, but it's like I've been working at my drag before that, and also like I'm gonna continue working my drag after that. Like being featured in a video for 30 seconds is not the value of my drag. And it's like that's not I was like my drag was just as good before that video, and it will still be even better a year from now after that video when people forget that I was in that video, like stuff like that. It's like, you know, support people not just because they have a big name attached to them or just because they're big, like support them because you love them. And if you do love them, like really do show your support. And
Give
don't
them the
feel like you need to
love.
yeah, give them the love. Don't pigeonhole them into drag race or feeling like they need to, literally pull their hair out in order to get some kind of recognition. Because yeah, I agree with Krim. It's like you think about all the stuff that they deal with. It's like, why would I want to deal with that? Like I'm already stressed out at a local level with stuff I have to deal with. Like, why would I want to experience that on a national level with people who literally feel like they can say whatever they want to say? Like, it, make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was amazing. And yeah, everyone support us now. Especially we are on Twitch and Instagram and Twitter. And it's yeah, do that. It's not that hard. Her, what would you like to say about this?
There's something that I feel I kind of like appreciate that was done after Drag Race is that it expanded to other countries as sorry, I forgot the name. Jupiter was saying the Spain version is coming, and it's more open to trans people because it's literally like a trans judge. And if the thing is, like, I feel Drag Race became a little more trash in the United States because I feel RuPaul is one of those people that if he wasn't gay, he would be transphobic. Like he would be homophobic. You know what I mean? It's one of those persons that it's like he has so much privilege now and he doesn't care about anyone else than just himself and his show making money. But since the show has been outside of the United States, it improved or it showed that it is possible to have other people that have other talent. So something that I appreciate about the show is that it opened opportunities for other countries to have something. It's like me, for example, in Latin America. Never go to Drag Race United States because I'm in Colombia. That's another thing that requires that you are a United States citizen or something like that. So it's like, okay, I'm never gonna be in Drag Race, but if there would be something like Drag Race Latin America, I'm pretty sure that the production that would be put into that would be more inclusive because the one in the United States is RuPaul. Basically, he is the producer of his own show. So that is something that like I never want to be in Drag Race, to be honest, because I'm too lazy for that. Like I'm not gonna do any challenge. But it's like, no, thank you. But it was something that, like, for example, when I heard about Prem, because I googled like female that do drag, and of course the first one to pop in history was Krem, and I was just like, oh my god, why isn't she in Drag Race? You know. But then I was just like, then I heard the whole thing of like women in Drag Race and stuff. But some point I understand people who think they need like their favorite on Drag Race to make it valid because it's a way it goes beyond United States. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's a way for me to get to know and expand to the rest of the world. Like I would never know of some other people or just you. So like just because I'm on Twitch now, I know all about you. But the rest, I will feel like, am I alone in this world? But I only know about them because of Drag Race. So it's like I kind of thankful for it, but I don't think the version of United States is gonna go anywhere. The versions of like outside United States, they're like they're so good because they are doing what's missing the United States version. They have trans people, they want to have women, they have it's more inclusive and it's more different, and they have like people that like to do like I think in the Dutch version they had a drag king. So I hope the United States version, the producers, they learned from the popularity of the other places. Like the UK season was amazing because of Bimini, for example, who is a non-binary person. It kind of made it like such a success because a lot of people were waiting to see something like that in Drag Race in a main platform. So yeah, I would say like the United States version is a little bit trashy right now. It's just like I really don't care. Like I still watch it because like I don't know, it's a Friday and I have nothing else to do. Let's just watch queer stuff. And but yeah, like honestly, I really don't care for it. I think it lost its value and it's not going anywhere but down. It's
Yeah.
that's
Thank you. One thing that I have definitely enjoyed about Twitch is being able to unify drag more and find a lot of wonderful people on here. I've been able to find non-binary, trans, other AFAB artists, and you also get to like inspire people to being like, oh yeah, I can do this. I saw this or that, and that's one of the things I'm really grateful for Twitch for being able to give me this platform to be able to connect, because I literally wouldn't know Annie or Luke or Jupiter or Hermaphrodita, or like To Barky Bark is a new one. Not new, but like she's definitely showing her drag colors, and I'm so proud of her. But we're definitely seeing a lot more people like pop up on Twitch, and I feel like with that like being a thing, because since COVID's happening, a lot of drag has now turned digital, which I think has been one of the best things, but also kind of like, as we've had in this discussion, it has also been really bad because it's bringing a lot more people to being like, oh, you can't do this and that. But I think that as long as we keep like pushing and trying to like represent and show that like that eventually, hopefully, that like glass ceiling or whatever we're constantly experiencing, that wall that we can't progress, will continue, because it is so frustrating. So we do are running a little late, so trans panel, I am so sorry. But to end this on, I'm starting to answer anybody's questions. If you do want to ask any questions, I do take questions on my channel. So if you really wanted to know or ask me stuff, I do answer those. And I'm not sure if anyone else on this panel is interested in that, but feel free to raise your hand or speak up if that's something that you're interested in. So be sure to come. First of all, go follow all of us. The links are there. But I do want to quickly end this on a happy note. Let's talk about like one or two things quickly of like what we love about drag and what has like either inspired us or to continue. Just something to end on more of a positive note, because this has been very heavy, but we knew that coming in because our experiences have been definitely heavy and heartbreaking. I've definitely cried more times than I'd like to count about drag, but some of the things that have inspired me was just like, for one, being able to see like Creme and Venus being in drag has been one of the best things. Being able to see other people represent that. One of the things I love about drag is that I feel like this is who I really feel. Like I love how I look, and it brings me confidence that I can be beautiful outside of just like what did the non-binary panel say? Flesh bags. Our flesh bags. So it's definitely given me a lot more confidence, and I've been able to like connect with a lot more people and be a part of the LGBT community that I've never been experienced before, because I came out as bisexual after I had done the club scene. So I feel like I've been able to really connect with people more, especially in the digital world. So that's what I have to say. Annie?
Highlights and what I love about doing drag. I guess like, yeah, I feel like in general, like despite all the shitty bits, like being able to do drag has helped me become the like woman I am now outside of drag, and I feel like that's really liberating and exciting. And I mean, like, yeah, despite all the people who say that I can't do it or whatever, I'm just like, I'm enjoying watching me transform into the woman I am today.
I love you, Annie.
And that's all on me. Yeah.
Creme?
I just love to be beautiful. I love to feel the ooh ah ah sensation. I love to give the ooh ah ah sensation. Like I just like, you just feel so like, I don't think you can swear on here, but the C word, you just feel so, you feel like, totally different and like just happy and like good. And I've like been lucky enough to get like a lot of really amazing things from doing drag, and I feel like so many things that I have like accomplished and like had and achieved in my life I've had through drag. So it's my life force.
Thank you. Jupiter?
I guess the first thing would be community, just being able to be like, I guess, a voice for people, and also to be able to have like all these like over the years that I've been doing drag, all these DMs of people who like either locally are like, how can I get hormones? And I'm like, here you go. This is like, resources, or like anybody online that I could just like help out anyway, or just hearing like nice stuff like that like crowd interaction, anything having to do with like other people is like my favorite thing about drag. And I guess the second thing would be that drag brought me to Twitch, and I like can't imagine myself not doing this now, like being like, I don't really miss the nightlife that much, because like we kind of have to do our art in nightlife because that's what drag makes us have to do. But like some of us want to do like ballads, like Annie said, and like it's not always received. So like being able to have like digital drag and Twitch is amazing. So love Twitch. Yes.
Love Twitch, and thanks for being here, Jupiter. Luke?
Yeah, I would just say I really, especially this past year, like digital drag has kind of revitalized my love for drag and just being able to create the visions I want to create and create the worlds I want to create. One of the most beautiful things I think for drag is being able to share stories and emotions and be able to do that through performance and through talking. And I think also just like drag has helped me understand who I am as a queer person and to understand who I am underneath the makeup, and to exist as a woman, but also exist in a space with the makeup as someone who lives not even on this planet, but outside of the realms of gender and human flesh bags. Um, so I truly love that it gives me the place to to play, and until I have figured out a rocket ship, this is the closest thing I get to get myself off of Earth. So I love it. And yes, when I get my rocket ship, all y'all invited. We can go to Mars. I got you.
I,
I
I
forgot
want to
the
go
ship.
to Saturn, so
Okay, we can make some stops. We can make some
I'm a
stops. We'll do
Capricorn.
a tour.
Saturn's my babe.
You meant to
Oh.
say we want to go to Jupiter because Jupiter's here.
I was
Oh,
gonna
true,
say that, but I
yeah.
thought it'd be
Well-
too cringy for me, and I wanted to give Jupiter a chance to say that.
So we'll hit all the planets. I'm an Aries, so Mars is my ruling planet, which is
Oh
the
my
best
gosh.
season right now. So get ready, everybody. It's Aries season.
Oh, my brother's an Aries.
I know we
Anyway.
do not let y'all
I'm an Aries
not know about
too.
it.
Oh
Period.
gosh.
My birthday's on Wednesday.
Oh my
Happy
god. So
birthday.
y'all better temper the house on boots.
Wait,
Mhm.
what did you say, Krem?
I said my rising is Aries, and Mars is also my ruling planet.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to Mars
I don't know,
first.
I don't
Yes,
know
and then we'll
anything
head out.
about astrology.
Well, you're
When's your
awesome,
birthday?
so right.
My birthday
Yeah.
is March 3rd. I know I'm a Pisces. That's all
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
you're a Pisces like me. Yeah,
That's all
I'm
I know.
exhausted.
like,
I'm
yay.
exhausted
We love
by
you
myself.
anyway.
Yeah.
We love
Well, if
you
you know,
anyway.
if you know what time you're born, you can look it up. My parents somehow forgot, so I have no clue what my like thing is. So I don't know how my mom forgot after birthing like a 9-pound baby, but she did. They remember my brother. I'm like, how do you remember my brothers? You were in like anyway, doesn't matter. That's just about me.
Love it. Anyway, yes, you're all
Um,
awesome. Even if you are
Herm-
Pisces.
Hermaphrodita, what would you like to say about?
Well, I definitely feel like drag made me very unique in a way that I'm like, of course, you explore many different type of makeup and stuff, but I feel like I became a person that I wanted to be, like my own self, and it's very unique to me. Like, I feel that I achieved something like amazing stuff in Colombia, especially with the queer scene. And being on Twitch or discovering Twitch, for me, digital drag or like the digital platforms are definitely what are rising right now. And it's like what makes me so happy to be able like to be kind of one of the first to be like growing these platforms, you know what I mean? So it's something that I'm like excited to be here and honestly do not miss going out and doing shows because I don't want to be hugged and sweaty. I'm happy here and just transforming myself from my waist up. And that's fun. You know, and it's something that like if I can now just be all the time drag only on Twitch, I'm happy with that because that's something that I feel it's like a big achievement for like as a drag artist, I feel like. So yeah, I'm very like, thankful for drag and opening a lot of doors for me.
I love that. Yeah, all drag is valid, y'all. Doesn't matter if you're just face up or waist up, or if you want to wear heels or not. I hate wheeling. I hate wheeling heels. It sucks to wheel them around. And also
Same.
wear them as well. Yeah. So real quick, thank you all so much for coming. Be sure to follow everybody. We have a dynamic follow button. We also have all of Krem's links in there. So there's no reason why you can't go follow her TikTok, her Twitter, her Instagram, and her YouTube, because I know you don't want to miss her content on there. So all the links are right there. We made it really easy for you. But also for us on Twitch, you can go and press that heart button. So make sure you go follow all of us because we are amazing. We deserve your love and support, and you deserve to come see us. So let's go say who we are. And if you want to put your Instagram and stuff, you can, but I'm in for prayers. AFAB Drag Queen. I'm also working on trying to get partner on Twitch, so yeah, be sure to be there for that journey. And you can find me at all the places for in for prayers on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Anyway, Annie, for you?
You can find me on a whole bunch of socials at Annie Crevice, spelled with a K, all one word, no underscores or anything like that. I'm on Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, Insta. You can also find me live sometimes in Melbourne, usually at Pride of Footscray or at Molly's or whatever for Baby Drag. If there's anyone in the chat that are from Melbourne, you can come find me in person.
Creme.
I'm pretty much Creme Patel on everything. If you want to, tell Twitter to give me my account back. I'm sorry I posted a Carly Rae Jepsen song. Please, for the love of God, give me my Twitter back. Also, I'll be on Twitch soon. So look at
Yay!
Yes, please.
been working out the mechanics for the past month, but we'll be
if
up soon.
Yes, and you can contact us if you need any help because we may know a few things here. So
For
I'm waiting
sure.
for that. So yes, everyone be sure to, I'm sure she'll have her stuff up soon. So be sure to follow her on TikTok and Instagram, all that. So that way you know when Creme is on Twitch, so you can go support her there. And when she gets affiliated and partner, make sure you sub to her channel and give her lots of bits. Thank you, Jupiter.
Hi everybody. You can find me everywhere at Jupiter Velvet, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and Saturdays. Come on down. It's a carry. It's a key and a carry. See you there, hopefully.
Luke.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Alien King Luke, where I usually tend to post most of my gigs there. You can also find me here on Twitch streaming at random hours. And you can also find me at paypal.me/LucaMe. And you can also find me in the galaxy somewhere. Stars. Yes.
Hermaphrodita.
Well, you can find me in all my social medias as her_Mafrodita. I'm here on Twitch streaming, always struggling to think either in English or Spanish. You can see my Spanglish is always coming through, and right now I'm tired, so it's like I don't know what I'm speaking right now. So
we understand you and you're amazing.
then thank you.
So yeah, thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for all the panelists. Thank you for the viewers for being here. And up next we have the trans panel, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, let me get this on here before I'm like, say goodbye. Okay, bye.
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 Thank you.